Have you ever really thought about how you're reading these words right now? You probably think it's this smooth, simple thing, but guess what? You're living in illusion. Let's get into the fascinating and honestly kind of weird science of how we really read. So let's start with a quick test. This is going to challenge pretty much everything you think you know about reading. So get ready. Go on, give this a shot. I know, it looks like a complete train wreck, right? And yet, I'm willing to bet you can read it almost perfectly. Your brain is doing something absolutely incredible right now, just effortlessly untangling this jumble of letters. So how is that even possible? I mean, if you were just reading letters one by one, that paragraph should have been gibberish. This little puzzle right here actually reveals the real secret to how we all read. Here's the thing. Your brain isn't a passive camera just recording what it sees. Nope. It's an active prediction machine. It uses the first and last letters, plus all the context clues, to make these lightning-fast guesses about what each word is supposed to be. You're not just seeing, you're anticipating. And this whole idea of our brain being an active reader, well, it helps us completely debunk a massive myth that's been floating around since 1886. Seriously, it's shaped everything from graphic design to how we teach kids, and it's just, well, it's wrong. So the old theory was that we recognize words by their unique outline. You know, the word shape that lowercase letters create. And it sounds pretty plausible, but modern research paints a much more dynamic and, frankly, a much more chaotic picture of what's really going on. And this is where we shatter one of the biggest illusions about reading. It really feels like your eyes are just gliding smoothly across the page, doesn't it? Well, they're not. If we were to actually track your eye movements, we'd see something way more frantic. What's really happening is this two-part dance called saccades and fixations. You can kind of think of it like a frog hopping across a pond of lily pads. The saccade is the jump, and the fixation is that brief little landing. Okay, so here's how it works. Your eyes leap forward about 7 to 9 letters at a time in a saccade. And get this, during that jump, you're effectively blind. For real. All the seeing, all the actual reading, happens during the fixation, which is a stop that lasts for only a quarter of a second, while your brain just snaps a picture of the letters. So reading isn't a smooth video feed, it's more like a super fast slideshow. Now that we understand this whole jump and stop process, we can tackle another huge myth, the idea that writing in all caps is impossible to read. The old word shape theory claimed that all caps text just forms these boring rectangles, making them way harder to recognize than the nice, varied shapes of mixed case. It was a neat little theory that fit the myth perfectly. But hold on, we just busted that myth. We read letters in snapshots, not by looking at word shapes, so the entire foundation for that all caps is bad rule just completely crumbles. The real reason is actually way simpler. We're just not used to it. I mean, think about it. Almost everything you read day in and day out is in mixed case. Your brain has become this super optimized machine for that specific format. Reading in all caps is like trying to walk on a rocky beach instead of a paved sidewalk. It just slows you down because it's unfamiliar territory. And that leads us to a really crucial distinction. You know, just decoding letters is one thing, but truly understanding the message, well, that's a completely different ballgame, and it takes a lot more than just good eyesight. Okay, read this paragraph. The words are simple, the grammar's fine, you can definitely read it. But do you have any idea what it's actually about? Sorting items? Use the equipment? It's pretty much nonsense. It's frustrating, right? Your brain is desperately trying to build some kind of mental model, but it has no framework, no context to use. The words are all there, but the meaning is just completely lost in a fog. But now, watch what happens when we add a simple title, using your new washing machine. Bam! Instantly, everything clicks into place. Sorting clothes, using the machine, the whole paragraph suddenly makes perfect sense. And that, my friends, is the power of context. This proves it, right? Reading is not the same thing as understanding. That little title gave your brain the mental filing cabinet it needed to organize all that information. Without context, words are just noise. With context, they become knowledge. So what's the big takeaway here? How do we actually use this science? Well, whether you're writing a quick email or designing a whole website, you can use these principles to design for how people really read. First things first, just make it easy on the eyes. Use clear, simple fonts, not those super decorative, fancy ones. For screens, try to pick fonts with a large X height. That's the height of a lowercase x, because they just feel bigger and are easier to read. Always maximize your contrast. And finally, break up your text. Use short paragraphs and headings to make your content scannable and way less intimidating. And while we're on the topic of contrast, just stick with the classic. White text on a black background might look kind of cool and high-tech, but research shows it can actually cause more eye strain. For pure readability on a screen, you just can't beat simple black text on a white background. Okay, if you only remember one single thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this next point. It is the one idea that underpins everything else we've talked about. Reading is never passive. There was this famous study that illustrates this perfectly. They had two groups read the exact same story about a house. They told one group to read it as if they were a potential home buyer. They told the other group to read it as if they were a burglar. And what did they remember? Completely different details, of course. The reader always brings their own experience and perspective to the page, and that shapes everything. So we'll leave you with this question. Now that you know that reading is all about anticipation and that context is king, what are you going to change about the next email you write? Really think about that subject line, those bullet points, and that one single thing you want your reader to walk away with.